What is your dad's position, as far as you know, on possible environmental triggers?
He's wonderfully supportive on, he wants to research environmental triggers. He's the founder of Autism Speaks. I am not, I'm here speaking as a parent. I'm not a representative of the organization, and I don't have to answer to anybody. So it's, it's very, my father's a very courageous man, though. He's extremely courageous and really wants to get to the answers. And a lot of people have been advocating that he not do that. And, he's insisting that he has. And a lot of the things, for example, that he said in his testimony yesterday were not things that people in the more traditional autism community are happy to hear at all. But this is just the beginning. He's coming out with a lot more to say. My mom and Tony Braxton and Bill Cosby were all for this environmental research only fundraiser that we just had. The first one, I hope the first one of many. I wish they were the only kind of fundraisers we were doing. And they're really, gung-ho. They really want to do this. And
well, let's talk about some of the criticism that's been raised of Autism Speaks. And this is not me speaking. I read the posts, and I know, and I think some of them are legitimate. But I think there's a lot of concern that Autism Speaks is trying to earmark or steer excuse me, too much money into purely genetic research, and that there is a bias among leaders of that organization towards genetic research over environmental research. There's a certain amount of hostility towards environmental research, and particularly mercury in vaccines. And there's a lot of questions I want to ask you, but let's start out.
No, those are very fair criticisms.
With those.
Yeah.
And I think what is most confusing to people, and something that I don't fully understand, is your parents founded this. Mm-hmm. Your parents got the money mm-hmm. together. Mm-hmm. Your parents acted because you had a child who developed mm-hmm. autism. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that you or your child should dictate the foundation.
No.
But why, if your mother and your father mm-hmm. believe so strongly in researching environmental causes, why hasn't more been done in that area? And why, I understand there's a board of directors, I understand your parents aren't dictators, but why can't they exercise or exert a little more influence over their organization that they founded?
I'm happy to answer that. I think that their answer to that, my parents, and I've spoken with them about that, is they really want to do the environmental research. They do not believe, neither one of them believes, that autism numbers now reflect better diagnoses. I personally believe maybe some Asperger's, and that's it. But they, in the course of acquiring NAR, they inherited a scientific advisory committee and agreed in the merger to fund their projects. And I think when you saw the first cycle of grants, they were mostly NAR projects. And they reflected NAR, and not my personal priorities, not my beliefs either. And I don't believe, anyways, so that was NAR. So I think that was the first set of grants. They were NAR grants. And in the second set of grants, we still do have the NAR people on the Scientific Advisory Committee. And though I'm happy that the Cure Autism Now people have now joined, which really, really is great. And I've been very happy.
Are they pushing for more environmental research?
Yes, definitely.
The CAN people are?
Yes. CAN is wonderful, and Peter Bell has been instrumental in pushing for more environmental research, and this will change. This will change.
Where is the resistance coming from now? Do you know?
I think that people who have been in this a long, long time, and they were doing this long before I was doing it, and they were wonderful pioneers to be speaking about autism, in the early 80s when nobody was paying attention and nobody cared about these kids at all. and I admire them for that. But these people, these more conservative researchers and parents, are so resistant to change. I think they're frightened after going down this path for 20 years that they could have been going down the wrong path, and they're just do not want to change course. My feeling is autism is worse than ever by any standard. Kids are sicker. Autistic kids are now, I think, more severely autistic than ever, and it's extremely clear to me that we have been going down the wrong path in research, yet I have no investment in the past research, so it's easy for me to say that. But
do you think there might also be some conflicts of interest in terms of their relationships with the pharmaceutical industry and or the public health establishment, CDC, NIH?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I think that some of these researchers have developed are closer relationships with the CDC or the NIH than I think it has not been beneficial to our children, because look where we are now. I mean, my son was born in 2001, and all these things were well known, and yet we kept practicing the same failed strategies with the vaccines and the mercury, and nothing had been acted upon despite years of research. I don't know. I think definitely they were afraid to offend government officials because they were such a small group, maybe in the beginning, but I don't know. I'm not afraid, and I know my mom is a person not afraid of sticking her neck out and saying what she believes, and she's not going to be fearful of offending the CDC if that's what it takes.
And what about the continued influence of NAR on the activities of AS? Wasn't that supposed to be, I don't know the correct term, but phased out somehow?
I think that, again, the NAR people were pioneers in their time, but I really think it's time to start thinking about autism in a wider angle, and our research needs to reflect that. And a lot of these people, their children are adults now, and I think it's time to step aside and let the parents of younger children have a chance at doing something differently with this money. It's too much autism. By no standard could you say that the path we've been going down via the NAR research has led us where we need to go. Okay.
I know I'm viewing you as if you were an Autism Speaks person, and you're not.
I don't work for Autism Speaks.
And we need to make that very clear.
Yeah.
And so I apologize if I'm asking questions that maybe you're not the best person to answer.
No, I'm answering as a parent and as Katie Wright. If it wasn't for my parents, there'd be no Autism Speaks, and there'd be no one down in the congressional hearings really holding Julie Gerberding to the task and demanding results. I mean, my dad is a businessman, and he's flabbergasted at the lack of accountability that goes on, and I think that he's going to be, I think that